Previously, on the One-Eyed Film Podcast.
Am I sideways?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're straight, you're sideways.
Yeah, we are.
I'm gay.
Like, I'll be listening to The History of Henry I, then suddenly... I'm like, shut up! You're great, shut up!
That's fine. Hey, they don't even know we're talking about Insomnia except for the title. Nobody reads the title anymore, do they?
I don't. I just click and pray. I'll say it. I think.
Widowy what he just said.
What do we? I'm so sorry.
Widowy?
Excuse me, sauce.
Squeeze me sauce.
We want to know you as more than just a number, so...
Send me your address.
It's no. Inception is one everyone knows. Anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Insomnia.
Are you watching closely?
What else did I? It made a decent. It made a decent amount of money. It had a $46 million budget, made $114 million at the box office, so almost like two and a half times, which is pretty good. Fun fact: dormer is a play on dormir, which means sleep in many languages. I knew that from Spanish. Apparently, it also is in other languages as well. So that's one of those where. He named the character a meta name because of the concept of the story.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of that in Nolan films too. Which that's the other thing that's interesting for this film is that it's compared to like other characters. I mean, character-wise, like I don't know how I can necessarily say if it's the strongest in his repertoire of films. I feel like there's a lot of other figures that are more outstanding, but it's also, I mean, again, it's not that bad. You feel for Will in that, like, you're like, oh, you accidentally shot your partner and now you're trying to hide it up, but you also kind of want to stop the bad guy, but he's also holding you with blackmail, and so what do you do? And it's a lot more. I mean, there's some mystery to it, as with everything, and it kind of keeps you to the end, but I think it's surprisingly a lot more drama focused than sort of sense.
Hear me out with this comparison, because I've got a comparison that I got the vibes of. Now, it's definitely very different stories, but in a way I'll just tell you. Knives Out, the first one, I got very similar emotional roller coaster vibes, because I knew.
Sorry, you and I watched that together. I introduced that movie to you. We had a movie night, and I was like, let's watch Knives Out. And you were like, I've never heard of it.
I was hooked.
Yeah.
A great movie. I don't know how I didn't know about it. But Knives Out and Insomnia here, I think, had very similar roller coasters of figuring it out, because you know that she doesn't kill what's his face. You know she's not the murderer.
Yeah.
But like there's some minor figuring out stuff, but it's still a pretty straightforward timeline, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not like there's a super big surprise like, oh, it was Chris Evans all along. It's like it was Chris Evans. Whoa, that's a really cool way of doing that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'd say the same for Insomnia, but not quite the same. Not quite to the extent of Knives Out, because Knives Out, I think, is still like quite a few points better than Insomnia here. But similar arc, if that makes sense.
Before we get too far, I wanted to make a point about how it's like we're trying not to give Nolan credit, because it kind of, I would say Insomnia kind of like underperformed in my opinion, like what I expected. I was like, oh, this is a very regular movie. It's a good movie, but it's a regular movie. Just looking at this list of following Memento, Insomnia into Batman Begins just feels so whack. I mean, Memento is the one that really was the only one before Batman Begins. And Batman Begins wasn't all Nolan. It had a lot of time jumps, but that was more flashbacks, easy to follow. Memento is really the only one that did the Nolan thing. And so Insomnia, just as it seems like his third film following The Following and Memento should have been, I don't know, Inception or something similar, but it wasn't. It was Insomnia, which is another basic regular movie. So I don't know. It just would have been an interesting time to live in to follow that in real time.
I was going to say, like, in terms of the character work, as you guys were talking about, I think it's better than Tenet, because as I've talked with Seth before, I don't feel at all for the protagonist when I watch Tenet.
Yeah.
So fair,
but
though.
I wouldn't put it on the same level though as like Interstellar or Inception, because
No.
those get deep. So
I'm going to push back only because I don't think you're supposed to feel for the protagonist. I think you're supposed to feel for Neil as he walks away and says, we're going to have a lot of adventures together. Just you wait. And he goes and dies. And then the character that we're supposed to follow actually gets to go and see all those things that Neil is being reminiscent about. That's my argument. But I see what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
feel for the main character though.
Fight.
Batarang to the neck.
But the protagonist has such mysterious and allure.
I do also. There's something to be said about the comparison there. Like, the emotional feels of Insomnia is definitely a lot more than Tenet, but the wow factor of Tenet is definitely much more.
Oh yeah.
So
Which I think he sacrifices a lot often. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say that, because Interstellar is one that does both really well. But for like Tenet and probably I would say Oppenheimer, it lost the feeling for the characters in order to tell a good story, which I think those are separate things, because I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
You can tell a good story without it being super emotional.
Yeah. But I would still say Interstellar is the one that gets both of those perfectly balanced.
But Tenet is definitely less emotional.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
borderline no emotion until the very end.
Yeah.
Till the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, basically till the last 5 minutes, where you're like, wait a minute, I actually kind of liked that guy. But Insomnia, it's like emotion throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's a lot of, you should sympathize with him or you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
Sorry, William, you've been wanting to say something for a while though.
Well, maybe we can save this for the end, or you can splice this to the end if you want to. But I was just gonna ask, and I was kind of curious what you guys' thoughts were about the ending, because it's not one thing that I. Okay, do you want me to just wait until asking that, or not?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, let's just wait until and then I can ask.
We're working our way through the movie.
Just FYI, I don't have a ton more.
Yeah.
So whatever you guys got, I'll try and build off of.
I got half a page left.
Do you?
Yeah.
I only had like 4 bullet points.
I have whatever's in here.
I have my brain, you nerds.
I don't.
I can talk as if I know what I'm talking about for as long as I want, like I did with Seth for the Star Wars episode. Actually, I know. To be fair, I did actually know some stuff. Although I think it would be funny if we did like a State of the Star Wars with just me and you just tried to see how well I could pull that off.
We should do an episode of a movie where none of us have watched and all we do is stereotype.
I love
We're just all reading the Wikipedia page the whole time.
See if anyone notices.
Yes, and this movie, I think, displays qualities of friendship. I think
this is World War II documentary.
We'll all be like starting the movie and watching it live at the same time. We're like, there's that one scene where like it's just wow,
with the
yeah,
thing in the person.
There might be something to this of like the imposter. Have you seen the imposter videos? Not Among Us, but like one person is trying to pretend to know everything that everyone else does, and yeah, that would be fun for a movie talk.
That'd be fun.
But then I just think of William when we were recording Batman Begins and he had to crash course himself.
Oh yeah.
We could actually totally do that for a roundtable, like rapid fire movies, and like we could probably do something like that. That'd be fun, actually.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll put it down. Zach, did you have something?
Oh, I was gonna say, so I think the movie that this Insomnia most reminded me of is, have you guys seen Juror Number 2?
No, but you've said it's really good.
Yeah, you guys have to see Juror Number 2. It's probably the last movie that Clint Eastwood's ever going to direct. But in the same way where he's like, because in Juror Number 2, I mean, this surprisingly isn't a spoiler, but the main character is a juror in a court case, and he slowly discovers that he's actually the one that killed the victim. And so the whole movie is
spoilers.
Believe me, it's not a spoiler. This was like
it's in the trailers. I've seen the trailers that he's talking about.
I remember.
That's just like the premise of the movie.
You're right. I remember that from the trailer.
So it's like kind of like how throughout that whole movie, he's just like living with the dread of being found out. I mean, you see that same dread with Al Pacino's character. What's his name?
Dormer.
Domer?
Dormer.
Dormer.
Dahmer.
He's like, planting evidence and everything to make everyone look everywhere but him with who killed his partner. So
Yeah.
It's the same vibe.
Actually, I will say that it does remind me about one person I did kind of like. I like the Ellie Burr, the detective, because
Oh yeah.
it's interesting to see her growth. Because like the first time we see her, like she's very much the almost like giddy schoolgirl who really likes her job and really follows this detective and is like I think kind of just like I've seen all your cases, all that sort of stuff. And then she's slowly, and it's sort of ironic where because of the fact that sorry, they're coming after me.
Wait, is that Zach?
Zach, is that you?
What?
Do you not hear? He must be used to living in the cities.
Oh yeah, that sound is outside of my window.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay. But anyways, as I was saying, it's just I find her character probably the most interesting to me because she's a straightforward cop and she likes her job and she's she's really kind of almost a schoolgirl type of idea where she just like, oh, I follow all your work and I really impressed with it, and I think it's interesting how they play with their relationship where she sort of becomes his new partner in quotes, and the details and the tricks that he teaches her are what's kind of making her catch up and figure out what's actually going on, where it's this I like that sort of thing that they play with. So yeah, and then just like the ending too, where she like just says, I can throw the evidence away, and he actually says, no, like don't lose your way, don't become like me, even though you kind of look up to me, sort of a thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That don't lose your way was one of the quotes I had. That's like the one thing he wanted to communicate as he was dying. Yeah, that was. I think the side characters were really compelling. I think everyone got a good dose of character development in this movie. Sorry, my light died, so I'm letting the battery charge for a second. What do we think of Robin Williams? Because this was the one that I was most curious about when I was like, what's Insomnia all about? Again, he's usually, he was a comedian. He played a lot of funny characters really well. He was like a Jim Carrey of that time, even though Jim Carrey was the Jim Carrey of that time. Just what do you think of him turning like this was one of his few roles that were that showed or that let him do his dark side a little bit, kind of like I think of Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, where he he wasn't happy-go-lucky, he was serious. Or I know Jim Carrey had one of those as well, but this was Robin Williams' serious movie. Do you think he pulled it off? Do you think they could have written the character differently? Do you think he could have played him differently? What are you feeling about that one?
I think he did a good job. It's Robin Williams is something where everybody mostly knows him for the genie, at least for I feel like a lot of people our generation, because that's what we grew up with. And then you realize that he's in more than that, and that he's like a comedian and all that sort of stuff. I've seen clips and scenes of him doing serious stuff, so I know he can definitely do it. Like in Jumanji, like I know that he's a good actor in that regards. Like he can definitely do it. So I think for this one he did a good job. It is always just a little like, oh, that's Robin Williams. Like it's just one of those things where it's that character who usually does XYZ thing, and now they're doing this character. And I think it maybe not helps is the right word, but it didn't make it necessarily so jarring because he's not necessarily playing a straightforward, I'm a serial killer who's just crazy and evil. No, he's like, he's like a deadbeat writer sort of a deal who's got like some sort of relationship with this girl, which is a little weird, but it doesn't seem to be doesn't have like the worst, creepiest connotations, but it's also just like, there's definitely a lot darker they could have gone with that character. And I think the film itself is a bit more compelling that they didn't necessarily, because that's kind of how you think it goes. Like, especially when like Will Dormer is like investigating and trying to getting into the mind of this guy. He's like, oh yeah, he's crossed that line now, and once there's no going back, and this was super methodical, and like they kind of build up this person as like, a stereotypical serial killer who's just cold and ruthless and just pathologically evil, and he's not. The meeting whenever those two interact is really interesting. So I think they did a good job with him. It's just always gonna be a little jarring, I suppose, without Robin Williams, but I think they did a good job with him. It's just I'm still kind of a little confused on like the guy himself, the character that he's playing, his background and like his motivations per se, but that's kind of par for course, I guess, with a mystery film or murder mystery film and detective. series.
I will say, so the last Robin Williams movie that I think I've watched is Good Will Hunting, which is also another one of his very serious films. So going into that with like this image of Robin Williams and his serious roles, watching Insomnia and not expecting Genie to pop out, that kind of gives you a much better perspective going into it. And I think Robin Williams did a great job. But I
just
do
imagine him talking with him on the boat or something. And then, la da, la da.
Please keep hands and feet inside the vehicle. If you, in the case of an emergency, there's an exit here, 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 anywhere. It's one of my favorite lines.
You know, I think he was really able to add a sinister context to his childless nature in this movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially, you know, like with his relationship with Kay, you know, he just thought it was completely innocent and everything. And, you know, when he's like, I was just pushing her to get her to stop laughing and all that, you know, he seems very like almost like he's mentally handicapped in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Which I think he was able to bring some of his I think he was able to use some of his like childish charm to really like be able to pull off that aspect of the character well.
That's a really good point, and that's
actually a great point.
Cool.
Yeah, like the idea of his persona being happy-go-lucky, like a good guy for this role, kind of made him seem safe, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then putting him as the villain, or as the bad guy here, it kind of, you almost want to root for him because everyone loves Robin Williams.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person that was excited at his death. I don't know one person.
Yeah.
By the way, 11 years already.
Wow. I was gonna say that he'd be in one of those categories of actors with no haters or something. Because I don't know how you can hate that man. And yes, he was a sorry soul sometimes, like in real life, just kind of covering up some hard stuff. And we're sorry to have lost him, but it's tough.
Still thankful for the life that he had and the wonderful roles that he had in film.
Yeah. They changed a generation, quite literally.
Yeah. Very cool, dude.
I got 2 quotes for you after Don't Lose Your Way. We kind of talked about that. It's all about truth, honestly. Someone said the ends justify the means, right? Like they were trying to convince their own mind that was true, just for their sake, to make them feel better, to justify, I mean, more than justified in the quote, but like to justify their own mentality, to be like, that's what you're supposed to say, but it doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. And that's where the truth part of this whole, I think this is where we're going to come to a close here. But the other quote I had was, you don't get to pick when you tell the truth, is just so true, literally. And as I was thinking where I saw God's fingerprints in the movie, obviously the quote or the verse, your sin will find you out, the plank and the speck, just thinking through, you know, comparison, being able to admit when you're wrong and all of that. I think this is, it made you think a lot. And I think that's, as we were comparing like what parts of this really stand out as Nolan's, that is probably one that's also really strong. Making you think, but in a different way, in a drama way. And I think that was really cool to be able to get us thinking about, you know, the truth and the ends justify the means, right? Quote of like trying to convince themselves. I forgot who actually said it.
That was Dahmer. That was because that was like right at the end when he was
talking.
When he was talking to the lady who owned the establishment, and he was like, "Let me tell you a story. I did this stuff." I don't know why I do it in that accent, but I just feel like it's funny. It's like,
I mean, I think you got it. Just the trying to even go against your own conscience. And as I have thought through my theology over the past many years as I've become an adult, you have to, if you feel like you're going against your conscience, then that's a sin. And that's more important than does the Bible say so or not. And that's hard to. I'm thinking of like.
I think I know what you're saying. I know what you're concerned about.
William gets it. This isn't like don't lie. Like if your conscience says it's okay to lie, you should lie. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in the things like even as I was prepping to make this podcast almost 3 years ago now, I went and talked to somebody about like, I feel like I should do this, but I also don't want to be prideful in saying I know it all. And he's like, if your conscience says that you should do it, or should or shouldn't do it, that like you shouldn't sin against your conscience, because if you are indwelt with the Holy Spirit will guide your conscience. So if you are fighting against it, that's something that you need to take into consideration in sin. Now, don't hear me say that you should just give yourself the free will to do anything, and that's where you find freedom. That's not. It should be boundaries through the Holy Spirit. And if you feel like you're going out of that, that's when you need to take a second look. And so that's what I came away with, making sure you can. Like, it's not always about the rule book. It's about for a very specific situation of whatever you're going through.
Well, it's because of the fact, and Paul talks about this in Romans. I already said it should be Romans. I figured out where it's passed exactly it is, but it's one of those details where there are certain things that are theological set in stone principles, and that all Christians can kind of agree on. Like you can look back at the 10 Commandments. That's like, okay, here's what's God saying. This is my universal moral plan. You can look at what Jesus is talking about for just all sorts of different things, like that, for like lying and stealing and murdering and all that sort of stuff. Like we all agree that those are hard set rules. But there's also a lot of more difficult things in everyday life that are just like, well, it's not like the Bible necessarily says this is all wrong, but it's also it's going to be a bit more of a case-by-case basis. We'll just use a very simple example. Like it's kind of controversial sometimes within the church, but like, drinking, for example, like, is it wrong to ever have, like, if you have one beer, are you a sinner? No, not necessarily. But it's also a thing where you have to understand that what your own conscience is saying, and also what your own, what can you handle versus what can somebody else handle. That's going to be different. And you need to be in cooperation with your conscience. I think this is what you're saying, Seth. You need to be in cooperation with your conscience if that is being influenced and inhibited, or influenced and empowered by the Holy Spirit. So it's one of those things where you need to recognize that what I am personally feel guilty per se, or what I can handle when it comes to that certain situation, is going to be different from other people, and that's where we can have a certain mutual respect for each other's tolerance, you could say, of different issues and things like that. I think is that kind of what you're getting at? Yeah. Okay, that's what I think. Yeah.
To add on that too, it's like, it's not like there's an 11th commandment that says, "Thou shalt not make a podcast." That's not how the Lord works. The Lord has given us some set in stone things that are definite yeses or nos. But one of the ways that I've kind of thought about it is, it's not necessarily the action in and of itself. It's not like making a podcast is the right or wrong thing, but your heart posture in going into it is this something that I can get eyes on myself for? Is this something I can do to get attention or noticed? Or is this something that I can kind of give a new perspective to the film industry and have people look at it through the biblical worldview and kind of bring a light to that area? That's kind of the heart posture going into that is what makes it correct or incorrect, because your conscience needs to be aligned with the Holy Spirit. One of the things that it was in my life, it was like, do I go for this major or this major? I was debating between project management and entrepreneurship. And my idea was, Lord, I have no idea what's going to happen here. And it's not like I was making the decision, and as soon as I made it, the Lord's like, sorry, Josh, that was the wrong answer. No more kingdom for you. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
But after he looked at my heart and he saw that I had a passion for kind of innovation, and I would likely use the project management stuff just to try and get to know people, or maybe even use it to kind of put myself on a pedestal as a manager. That is the kind of heart posture that he saw me going into that with. And he's like, hey, your conscience is going to feel that. But this way, I know that you're going to be using the gifts and tools that you have been given. Just kind of in my own life. It's not necessarily a yes or no answer for some of these things, but it is kind of, where is your heart in making those decisions? And then on top of that, when other people are making like or similar decisions that are not necessarily a hard set in stone yes or no, as scripture tells us, but it is our heart posture. One thing that I want people to be very aware of is you should try and go and support them and not try and be a stumbling block to them or kind of push them in a direction, but pray for their conscience. Be there to have them process it and figure out, where is your heart actually in making this decision? Are you just trying to make money? Are you just trying to gain popularity or gain this? It's very dangerous to be in a close relationship with someone and then trip them up whenever they're making a decision like that. So
yeah. And now this is all stemming from the idea that the movie is about truth. And there was a truth that needed to be shared in order to be on the right side of everything. And that was tough for Dormer to do. That was the conflict. That was the drama of the drama movie. But it still causes us to have conversations like this, which is great.
Yeah. Well, it's just a question of, what do we do with the truth and how do we tell it? And what do we do with the truth when it's, it can be convenient for us not to. And also maybe it's better if we don't. Like, who's going to be hurt if nobody knows the truth? And if it is a beautiful lie better than a painful truth? One of those type of questions, which are always very interesting and compelling to at least talk about and consider.
I was going to say, kind of like while we're on this topic, we didn't ask the question yet, but we've been answering the question.
I brought it up.
Where do we see God's finger? Oh, did you say that?
I said it in reference, not actually asking it. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. See, I'm actually still translating your echoing sometimes, so I'm not catching everything.
Gotcha.
So anyway, what I was gonna say in the whole realm of where do we see God's fingerprints is I think there's just a big theme in this movie of the consequences of straying from the path of righteousness.
Yeah.
With Dormer, we see kind of the situation he's in now is kind of the consequences in a roundabout way of planting evidence on that case with the kidnapper and the 8-year-old. We see him end up kind of here now in this kind of world of cloak and dagger where he can't trust anyone and has to lie to keep his secret from becoming known because he strayed from this whole path a long time ago. And I think that's what his whole line at the end is about, when he tells Ellie, stay on your path, because he saw that Ellie was on the path of being a good cop. And as he says earlier in the film, a good cop isn't up at night because of a bad conscience. A good cop is up at night because of trying to find the last puzzle and the mystery.
I think the quote was that a good cop doesn't sleep because he's trying to find the last puzzle, and a bad cop can't sleep because of his conscience, which kind of applies to both of him at the same time, which is why it's a very ironic quote.
Yeah. So I think anyway, applying that to kind of our own lives and to our Christian faith, when we, go off of God's path or the way that he's set for us, through the Old Testament and the teachings of Jesus, when we stray from that in our lives, we get to a place where life just gets more complicated than it needs to be. And we're probably going to end up somewhere like Dormer did. And then it's like when we stay on the path of righteousness, we have a clear conscience and we have a peace that, rivals no other. So I think when we live for Jesus and stay on the path that he has set before us, that's the life we want instead of the path that we see Dormer end up on in the movie.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Bars, I'd say.
Have we completed the Nolan movies as of now until next year?
Sadly, I think so.
Until the Odyssey.
We will salute. I'm sorry. It's actually quite amazing.
Oh, can you see?
Oh,
Okay.
I love hearing them sing out of sync. We don't do a lot of single movie reviews, I would like to think. Even though
do more.
We just I was gonna say I didn't want that to be what we did. I mean,
well, not reviews, but
yes, talking about individual.
We gotta do more single movie episodes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we'd mix it up enough. But Nolan movies, we definitely took our time with. part of it was like life changes. We started with The Prestige in Josh's bedroom watching it and then recording right after for episode 1.
I remember that.
Yeah, you took your shirt and socks off for
Let the
audio
dogs
only.
out.
I also went into my closet and got naked and changed. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
No.
I do.
William has blotted it from his mind. But here we are.
Good.
I don't know, frick, episode 136, 7, something like that.
You don't really like. you haven't really been numbering these, have you?
I don't know them off the top of my head. Zach, I appreciate that. We got to wrap it up, but we have an announcement for next week's episode. I referenced this in the Thunderbolts episode, that we are doing a mega episode with most of the hosts except for Josh. He's stuck in Virginia.
What a loser.
We'll call him.
We're all getting together to do a live record. Not live. I'm calling it OEFP live just internally, but we're going to record and I'm going to release an episode with 5 of us. That's the most we've ever had on an episode. We're going to do a roundtable with, as of now, Zach, you're coming, right? I don't remember if you actually confirmed that.
Yes, I will most likely be there.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, great heavens.
For sure, William and Isaac. Deacon is a probably. Zach is a probably. Josh is stuck in Virginia.
I can't get away.
And you, listener, can join too if you go to
they can't.
insert Seth's address at point.
No, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do Movie Jeopardy, and we're gonna
Play Mario Kart.
which will be bonus episodes in the future. But stay tuned for that. We are super excited to do that. I'm most excited just to hang out with friends, except Zach, who loves his job more than us.
Yeah, Zach. Wow.
Wait a minute. I'll probably be there.
Okay, I didn't know what percentage you were giving me.
As William said, anyone can join if you just go to P. Sherman and 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney. Yeah, it's just going to be great time, snacks. Everyone's welcome.
Australia?
Why do you have that address in your
On
head?
speed dial?
Automatically no.
P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
He Googled it. He's reading it right now.
I literally didn't even Google it.
What is
The
42?
dentist
Oh,
office.
it's Finding Nemo.
Yeah,
I get
it's
it.
Finding Nemo.
I get it. It's the dentist office, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I am embarrassed that I didn't know that.
And we're going to be back to like one of the first places we were all together the first time.
My church?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I forgot. What?
Because of the wedding. That's when most of us actually met at the first time in person.
That's a lot of us were in the same room together. Was your wedding?
That was the first time I met Isaac and Deacon.
I mean, the Arcane rewatch was before that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like Isaac and Deacon weren't there.
Yes. Technically, all of us were at my wedding, but I was busy getting married.
That's so fair, though. So fair.
Bro wouldn't even
Anyways.
commit to an episode when we were all there. Instead, he wanted to get married to a
bro,
girl.
come on.
Imagine that.
One of these days, I want to watch a black and white movie, and instead of saying a great movie, I'll say gray movie. And no one will know. No one will know.
Well, I made Zach watch Godzilla
See
-1.
what you did there.
I made Zach watch Godzilla -1 in grayscale the first time.
That's the first time I watched it.
Yeah. It was only because it was the only one available, but then you actually watched it in color. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Be ready for extra fun content next week. Thank you for
Thanks for watching, Mom.
Thank you.
Oh, too early.
Thanks for listening or watching. Make sure to share.
I was trying to time that.
Yeah, I know. Just let me Josh.
Bye,
Make sure to
everyone.
share this with a friend, and until next week, know that you're loved. God bless.
Peace out.
Thanks
There's
for watching,
Will is
Mom.
away. Okay.
Woo!
No, that works. Yay.
Thanks, everybody.
Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe.
Like, follow, and subscribe. Or else, in a world